Probe is a media voice, independent and free to air. You can watch it anywhere. And recently, its impact, because of the story it has produced on what it called Chinese economic colonization of Jamaica, has been significant. The mainstream media has picked up on it and have sought to discredit the voice, not so much by aiming at Probe, but by a primary presenter, Peter Bunting. And I want to connect two stories to this particular approach, responding to Probe by the Gleaner and elsewhere in the political landscape of the country, to show why something like a Probe is vitally important to Jamaica at this time. So let's go back to the story of the Chinese economic colonization of Jamaica. A simple point: Chinese didn't like it. The embassy issued statement. Recently again, the ambassador himself has made the front page of a leading newspaper to repeat why. Clearly, we hit a raw nerve. What's the truth? China has dominance in sugar since 2010. Most factories, including Money Musk, where nothing is happening. Construction, more than 50%, both public and private sector contract, controlled by the Chinese. Chinese companies also control mining significantly, with Alpart, which is the largest bauxite plant in the country, in St. Elizabeth. And they have a substantial presence in the retail trade. So all together, there is a very significant Chinese presence, and a recent Chinese presence. And if this were to continue for the next 10 years, it is hard to imagine what would have happened. One voice, through Probe, has raised the issue, which has resonated not just in Jamaica, but elsewhere in the Caribbean. There is another issue. The Gleaner itself, in July 28, published a letter written by a senior policeman to the Firearm Licensing Authority, demanding that a certain firearm license be revoked. The senior cop alleged that the license was granted to somebody that the police opposed, but this person was involved in organized crime and was a significant player in lotto scamming. Since that time, the police has had to take that firearm in for checks, for investigation, and that person has been arrested and charged. The CEO of FLA, Shane Dallin, as you know, political activist, has confirmed that the license has since been revoked. That revelation by the Gleaner led to the resignation of the board, because it was found that this was not an isolated incident, that there are many such that have happened. And since then, MOCA has raided the FLA, and the Contractor General has started an investigation. Rather surprisingly, the Gleaner has changed tune, created a smoke screen, saying that it has a letter from an anonymous source alleging that similar incidents took place over the last 6 years, in particular in the regime of the previous board. Now, we heard nothing of that for 18 months between the time when the previous board ended its tenure and the life of the present board. But here it is. Curiously, this has been introduced to deflect attention away. If there had not been the independence demonstrated by Peter Bunting, both in his capacity as opposition spokesman on national security and as a messenger through this probe for the national interest, where would we be? We need to nurture, strengthen the resolve of those who intend to speak the truth and to defend the national interest. We are aware of what is being done. We are aware of all the partnerships that are being forged in order to cause people to be intimidated and to doubt themselves. But one voice will follow the issue where they lead, carry the stories that others dare not touch, in the interest of the greater good and the national interests.